Welcome to the channel. I'm Mr. Overview, and today we'll be talking about the Springfield Armory Echelon 4.5 comp. Now, a lot of you probably know that when Springfield launched the Echelon line of handguns back in July of 2023, they were really well received. Pretty much everybody that I saw that had one liked it a lot. Unfortunately for me, it just wasn't something that I found unique enough to go out and buy. In my mind, there were a lot of really good polymer striker-fired guns, and I didn't see how this one was really all that different from some of the ones that I already had, like the Walther PDP or the SIG P320. So for me, I kind of just kicked the ball down the road until they came out with the comp version in September of 2024. And that one really got my attention a lot more because I didn't have any compensated pistols. So I sort of thought about it for a long time. And then Springfield did something to sort of push me over the edge, and that was they offered their gear up deal. Now, this is something that they've done in the past, where they've gone out and said, you know, if you buy the gun during date 1 to date 2, we'll give you some extra magazines, and maybe we'll give you a range bag. But typically when they would do that, you'd have to go buy the gun, take it home, register it, and then request to have them mail you out those things, the magazines and the bag. But this time, they actually made things available in store and available right at the time of purchase. So let's take a quick look and see what they included this time. Okay, so here in the box, first off, we have our range bag, and then we have our box. So in the range bag, they included 3 additional magazines. You get 2 of the flush fit 17 rounders and 1 extended 20 rounder. Of course, you get the range bag itself, which is pretty nice. Holds 2, and like I said, it seems to be made reasonably well. And then we get into the firearm box itself. So you get the soft case, which is nice. You get your paperwork. You get a loader, your lock, and 2 back straps, which is pretty nice. And then let's take a look at the gun real fast. Okay, you'll notice, first off, we are unloaded. First thing you may notice is the optic. So they actually included a Crimson Trace CT 1500 optic on here. Not necessarily a really high-end optic, but it's something, and it's serviceable. It is an RMS-C footprint. But one of the really cool features about the gun is the optics mounting system. So Springfield introduced their VIS, or their variable interface system, which actually accommodates 3 of the most common red dot optic footprints. So it accommodates the RMR, the Delta Point Pro, and the RMS-C footprints without having to use any kind of plate, which is actually pretty slick. And we'll put a picture of that optic system here in the video. But they include the optic. And so the Gear Up promotion basically consists of the range bag, 3 mags, and an optic for no additional charge, which is, in my mind, a pretty good deal. Now, if we just look at some of the features of the pistol, you'll notice, in addition to the VIS mounting system, this is a chassis-based system, so the only serialized part is going to be the fire control unit inside. The grip modules are not serialized, and they do have replacement modules, so if you wanted a different color or a different size, you could do that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure exactly how that is super beneficial, because you already do have a couple of back straps that allow you to sort of customize the grip a little bit to your taste. So I'm not exactly sure. I've not checked out any of the replacement grip modules to see how else they vary. But it is an option, which is cool. And certainly if you wanted to change color, if you wanted to get an FDE or something, I'm sure you would be able to do that. The other thing I really like about this is I love the way they did the serrations. They're really grippy. And on the front, you sort of have this trough, so it's really easy to grab on the front. And on the back, it's kind of even got a couple little ears to help you get a good grip on the back to rack the slide. So that, I think, is actually pretty darn nice. The trigger is pretty good, actually. I did compare this to my XD, and the trigger on the Echelon is significantly better. I'm not going to say that it's necessarily the best pistol amongst all polymer striker fire guns, but it is definitely good, and something that I would not want to go out and replace with some sort of aftermarket at this time. So one thing I failed to mention when I was looking at the contents of the box is this little magazine extender. So you can actually take and put this on one of your 17 rounders and convert it to a 20. So that's nice, and want to make sure I give them credit for that. I did take the gun out to the range a couple of times actually, and I wanted to compare it to something else. I would have loved to have compared it to a non-compensated Echelon, but I don't have one. So I ended up comparing it to my XD subcompact. So not the greatest comparison necessarily, but it's Springfield to Springfield, so we have that. And certainly if the fine folks at Springfield wanted to send out a T&E gun to be able to do a better comparison, I would certainly be open to that. But my observation in comparing this with the XD is this shoots considerably softer and gets back on target much faster than the XD did. I was very impressed with this gun and how it performed. If you also look at it from an accuracy perspective, you can see this is my grouping of 5 at 10 yards, and while it's not necessarily like the greatest group in the world, it's pretty okay for me. I'm definitely not the world's greatest marksman, and the inaccuracy in that grouping is 100% due to the marksman and 0% the result of the gun. Very accurate. In terms of reliability, I've had 0 problems with it whatsoever. I shot a variety of ammunition through it, from 115 grain blazers and Fiocchis to some 124 grain blazer, and also even some 124 grain 9mm NATO rounds from Winchester, and it shot them all very well, and I've been thoroughly impressed with this gun so far. Appreciate you taking some time to join me, and I look forward to talking to you in the next one. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons.